Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly,
and you're listening to Motherhood,
not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea,
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing.
Hello and welcome back to Motherhood, Not As We Planned. This week, we're going to be talking about our first holidays.
As single parents.
Yeah, and it's quite nice that we've kind of done it around the same kind of time.
That wasn't even planned.
No, and we thought whilst we've kind of are freshly back from it, it would be a
And
really
you've
good
got a
time.
tan and I don't.
It's not even real.
Makes me feel a bit better.
Yeah, we thought it would be a good kind of
Time to talk about.
and also touching on some of like the other firsts that we've experienced recently
Yeah.
since becoming solo parents, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, obviously our holidays were slightly different. You're a bit crazier than me. I mean, bow down to you right now. So for those that don't know, Carly did a full-on like solo holiday, her and two kids. Wowzers. Some may call you mental.
or some
Brave.
yeah, some people were like brave. I was like, I think mental.
Yeah,
Probably
I think
like
mental.
Yeah.
But so fucking brave. I did the slightly safer option, although maybe some.
You have an extra child. You have an
Do
extra
you know
child.
what I do?
You
I do have an extra child.
Severely outnumbered.
Yeah, I couldn't do three on my own.
No, and my advice would be not to.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I would take that advice. So no, I did a holiday with my parents and my sister. Again, it's just very different to obviously being with a father figure.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I found not the hardest to adjust with, because I very much went with the knowledge and knowing what to expect, but when people sort of said like, oh, how lovely you've got like so much extra help. First of all, love them to pieces, but my dad and my sister very much like were just there. I don't really feel like they were much help. Which again, like, cool. Like they merited on holiday too.
Yeah,
And
great.
that's fine. My mum is amazing. However, what I will say is when you go away with the father of your children, if you're, you found that you're doing so much with the kids and you just want that moment just to like have a bit of time to yourself, you can very much turn around to your partner and be like, hello, like, can you help? Like, can you pull your weight? Or you have the kids for a bit. I'm going to go and read a book or have a nap. Or like, I never felt, me and my mum are close. Like, she's like literally like my world. But I would never turn around and be like, can you get up and help me?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's such a different dynamic going away with family to the father of your kids. But I feel like I went knowing that, like my expectations were already at that level. And it was really nice. Like, I think most parents will say that when they go on holiday, unless you do it on your own like you did, it's very much like the same as being at home.
Yeah.
But in a different setting. But for me, I saw it as I've got an extra pair of hands. So it was always going to be better than just being at home.
And also being away, I think when you're somewhere hot, I feel like kids are easier in the summer.
Yeah.
Like being outside, I feel like that, I also think regardless of whether you've got the help or whatever it is on holiday, I know that I'm much more relaxed, like routines go out the window.
Yeah.
I'm more in like yes mode and, it's like, screw it, it's holiday. Like, yeah, you can have 5 ice creams a day. I don't care. It's just, and yeah, it's a completely different environment regardless of anything. So yeah, obviously Tash mentioned it. So basically what initially happened was I did take Theo away on my own, didn't I? I went to Disneyland Paris with him. That was in May.
Do that. I think one-on-one.
So that had been booked before, obviously, I was on my own.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that had been booked before. And we tried to get a refund. Couldn't get a refund for a lot of it. It was like minimal refund. So I was like, screw it. Like, we're not missing out. I'm going to take the kids. And then just asking around. Disney is not the kind of holiday where it'd be easy to have 2 kids, especially the ages of mine. And a lot of the rides, like, we wouldn't have been able to go on because it's like 2 people and stuff like that. Anyway, I just felt like I wasn't ready to do it on my own. Like, at that point, I'd only been on my own just over 2 months as well. So it was all very, very new. So I was like, right, I'm gonna, because I hadn't even paid for Milo. That was it. So it didn't feel like I was losing out. Like I hadn't paid. He's not gonna know. He's not gonna remember. And also Theo's starting school in September. So I thought, how lovely we can have some time, just us going away. And honestly, it was amazing. Like it was such a good trip. He was so well behaved. He could just tell, like, obviously Disney is so magical, and he was such a lovely age. Everything was magical. And because it was just us, I just took all expectations off, and I put no pressure on us to get this, that. Like when we went to Disney in Florida in November, I was like on it. I was like, we have to do this. Like it was all very planned. This, I was like, no expectations. We're going with the flow. We're going to roll off what he wants to do. And honestly, I had the best time. The hardest bit for me, I think I told you, was on the way home. Our flight was delayed. So we were in the airport for a long time anyway. Finally get on the plane. Then we're on the plane. They're like, oh no, we're going to be delayed. We're going to be here a couple of hours. So I thought, oh God, like this is awful, but fine, whatever. They got like the kids in the cockpit and stuff. Theo's really tired at this point. Wait on there a couple more hours. And then they say, your flight's been cancelled. We have to get everyone off. So at this point, Theo was really overtired. He was really tearful. So whilst I was dealing with him, everyone else on the plane had pre-booked all the other flights up for the following day. And I was really stressed. Then we had to get off the plane. We had to go and get our luggage. And then we had to go and queue up to get a hotel for the night that EasyJet were putting on. But by this point, right, because our luggage was obviously the last one off, we were at the back of the queue. I was one of the only people with kids. Not one person was like, you've got a child. It's like 11:30 at midnight, 11:30.
Being where you were.
Yeah. Well,
there wasn't loads of kids.
There wasn't on my flight, and I have no idea why. But so I was really stressed out. I'm like at the back, like literally like
I'd have barged her.
I was crying. I'm like, how was that? I didn't really know what to do anyway. I ended up managing to get someone at home to book me flights from the other airport in Paris.
Okay.
And then I booked a hotel on my own and just claimed everything back rather than waiting for them to sort it, because that it would have been there hours. I was at the back of the line, and they've been amazing. EasyJet literally refunded me straight away. So anyone who like goes through that, book it yourself, and you can literally claim everything, even the Uber. So I then literally booked an Uber. I booked a hotel right near the new airport. I was like, screw it, we're going. Anyway, we eventually got home, but there was a point where I was like, we're going to be stuck in Paris forever. And I was like, why have I done this? But do you know what? Going through something like that, my first trip away, did give me this like empowering feeling that I can do it and I can do anything on my own.
Which is amazing, because I feel like it probably for me would have scared me. The fact that you went through that and then went and booked a solo holiday with 2 kids.
But I feel, well, no, I'd already booked the solo.
Oh, had you?
But I did feel like, well, I've done the worst now. So what else? Like, I feel like I
bring it on.
Yeah, so bring it on. So yeah, I did book. Can't remember. It must have been around May. I booked Tenerife, and so in my head, I've always seen my kids' childhood as going away loads on holidays. That's the childhood I had. I know I'm very lucky to say that. And that's what I want for my kids. And in my head, I was like, my situation or the situation of your parents will not impact that. I will make that happen regardless of whether your parents are married or not. And one of my biggest fears was doing that on my own. So I was like, well, this is my biggest fear, so I'm going to get it out of the way. That's how my brain thinks. It's insane.
No, but wow, because my biggest fear stops me doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I rate you so much for doing that. Mental.
I think absolutely. I think I may need to book into a doctor.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. And do you know what? And I do feel like as well with my kids' ages, really hard ages to do it. Milo,
yeah,
like kids around. So Milo's 21, nearly 22 months. Any kid around 1.5, I would say, to 3.
Yeah, well, it's like Rome as well. It's that age where they want to do everything, but they can't do it on their own.
Yeah.
But they try to anyway.
And they don't quite have like the words and understanding to articulate everything and have that, I don't know, almost like conversation of negotiating or no bribery works at all. And that was really hard. Theo was, I mean, don't get me wrong, he had his moments, but so we will obviously talk about our holidays. I think it's interesting. Let's talk about like the traveling aspect first. So for me, that was hands down the hardest bit, and I'm not gonna lie, that the bit I was fearing, and my journey out there was so awful. It was so awful. I was like, why have I done? Why have I done this? Why have I had something this?
I have to say one thing. Because I forgot where you were going.
Yeah.
And when I saw your stories that you were gone, I was away when I was already on holiday. I literally turned to my mum and I went, why the fuck is she doing 4 hours?
Well, I didn't know.
Why did you not? And my mum was like, she should have gone to Spain.
Yes, I should have gone to Spain.
Had that now.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I did not know it was 4.5 hours, which is quite a long time on a plane. And I will say, one of my biggest pieces of advice going forward, if you are considering doing something like this on your own, if it's your first time, do somewhere like Spain.
Yeah.
Because the flight time and the flight,
it's a long time.
It's a long time anyway. It's a long time with a partner. We did that when we went to Mykonos last year. It was around the same. And our flight on the way home was so awful, the people in front of us moved. It was hell. And I remember thinking, why would we do this? I didn't know it was.
Did you find out? Don't tell me when you got on the plane and then they said
it was more or less in the airport, and I was thinking, what have I done?
Why I think I'm positive?
Because in my head, right? Because there's no time difference, so it's the same time zone. So in my head, I'm like, it's not going to be far, because if you're going far, there'd be a time difference. Doesn't work like that, guys.
Yeah, because did you know that I think South Africa might be the same time difference?
Well, look, I've learned a lot of lessons this way. Anyway,
so don't hold me.
Only your guinea pig, yeah. Don't go to Tenerife. But so we get to the airport. Our flight was at like 7 a.m. So we're only around the corner, but we had to check a bag in. So we left here about 10 to 4.
Nice and early.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? Checking, I can't even remember. Checking the bag in was fine. Once the bag was gone, I felt like I could breathe, because
also we rate you fitting everything into one case.
Oh my God, yes, but I was nearly 10 kilos over, and they tried to pay me. That's insane. They tried to charge me £100, but the lady saw me and was like, just going to check on you. And sorry, kg bag for you. It's only 35. I was like, please do. I can't afford this. Anyway, so get out of the taxi. I've got the double pram, so I have the double yo-yo. I had a big case. I had my backpack on my back and their 2 bags on the pram. I literally looked like a freaking donkey. I'm like walking and trying to steer everything. Finally got rid of our case. That was fine. And then obviously you do like the family. They have
the check-in,
like the security bits. The bits where you have to take everything
out the bag.
You know, when you strategically pack a bag to go away and then you have to empty it.
Yeah.
So that I was dripping with sweat at this point. My kids are being absolutely feral. Theo's going psycho about not wanting to put his daddy dinosaur through the thing. And I'm like, well, you don't really have a choice. And that was a whole lot of tears. Then neither of them would walk through the thing. So it was just awful. It was awful. But for the first time in my life, I didn't get frisked up. Bit devastating, really. So once we were through that, I was like, breathe. What did we do? I can't even remember. We just mooched a few shops. That was fine. Then, our gate gets announced. We go to the gate. We go through, and I notice our gate is like, we have to go through and then go downstairs. So I'm looking for a lift, and she's like, oh no, there's no lift here. So I said, oh, would someone possibly be able to help me? I've got to get the double pram downstairs, 2 kids and 3 backpacks. And she said, no, sorry, no one can help you. And I was like, you'll have to ask another passenger. So at this point, I'm like freaking livid. Luckily, these 2 lovely people behind me did help carry stuff down, but like, I'm literally like juggling. At this point, Milo will not walk, so I'm carrying him on top of the 3 bags as well. And we have to get on a bus. So we're like on the bus, we're all like falling over. Get to the plane. Lovely people who were carrying the double prams brought them through to where we were sitting. Love you if you're listening. Love you. Sit down, fine. Then they announce we're delayed by an hour. Sat on the plane. I'm thinking,
there's nothing worse than being delayed
on the plane with kids as well. At this point as well, where we've been up since 3 o'clock, they were so tired. They needed to sleep, but they were so overtired, and obviously they weren't going to sleep. And it was hell on earth. They were screaming. Like, honestly, I was just thinking, I'm stuck on this plane now. Then they took my prams off me, and I was like, no, they're like, they go in the overhead. Like, that's why that's why I'm using them, because when I get off the other side, I'm on my own with 2 kids. I need to put one of them in, at least one of them. I said, leave me one of them. And they were like, no, it'll be at the steps when you get off the plane. I was like, as long as you can promise me that, because I can't get through an airport on my own with 2 kids and this, that. They were like, no, we promise. Anyway, see where that one's going. The flight was awful. Not the actual flight. There was no turbulence or anything, but
the experience.
My kids. Milo would not sit still. He was throwing a fit, but then it was when we still had to have the seatbelt sign on, and he didn't want to sit on my lap, and he was like wriggling. I'm literally, I felt like I was force holding him there. Like, they both wanted each other's toys but wouldn't share. They were throwing everything everywhere, like kicking the seats in front, like, you know, you just like everything, like opening and shutting the blinds, like every single toy I got, like throwing it everywhere. People are like, excuse me, is this your fish? And I'm like, fuck's sake. I was literally just like counting down, and then I was like, it's 4.5 hours. It's insane.
I was just listening to it. It's making me a bit sweaty.
We were out of snacks by like hour 2 because we'd been on the plane a whole hour extra. Yeah. I did not account for that. So I always account, like, just pack even more snacks. Anyway, finally get to Tenerife, get off the plane. My pram's not there,
obviously.
And like, so I was like, and then I snapped at the lady, and I was like, also trying to get off the plane. The kids had obviously fallen asleep in the last half an hour,
of course,
when I didn't want them to, because they was too tired to bloody walk. So I'm trying to carry everything, my children, off the plane. And then I said, I was just like, isn't nobody on this plane, is no staff going to come and offer me help? And you can see I'm on my own, and you can see I'm struggling. And like, they were just so rude. And I was like, is my pram going to be at the bottom of those steps? They were like, no, it'll be on the whatever. And then at that point I was just like, I didn't cry at this point. And we got back on the bus. Luckily we had a really long walk through to like security and stuff. Milo's at that age where doesn't walk like all the like, not good enough to like just be without a pram. Bear in mind, I'm carrying our 3 bags, and I've got 2 kids who are like on the verge of basically needing their naps. I wanted to die at this point. Like, literally, just like, I don't know what to do. Anyway, managed to somehow get through it all. And then we get to where our bags are coming round, get our suitcase off, and we're waiting there like half an hour for our pram, and it's not coming. And I'm getting more and more angry, and I'm like, where is my pram? I need it at this point. So we had to go through to the Ryanair. It was Ryanair, not EasyJet. Go through to the Ryanair person. And I was like, I've been told my pram's going to be here, and it's not. And she was like, oh, yeah, it will be downstairs. It will be like the special part downstairs. I was like, fine. So I've dumped the suitcase on like a trolley thing. I've chucked the kids like on top of the case of our bags. So I'm pushing it to go downstairs, get there. The lift's broken. And I just stood there and I burst out crying. I was like, so how do I get, there was the only lift. How do I get downstairs to get my pram? I can't leave my kids upstairs. I can't leave my bags, because then what if someone thinks, oh my God, it's an unattended bag in an airport, we're going to like explode it. So then I was just like, I just stood there crying. I just stood there crying. And then someone came up to me and she was like, are you okay? It's like, no, I'm not okay. I'm on my own. Now the lift's broken. You know, that literally is like everything is pouring out. My kids, you just be like, yeah, good, thanks. My kids are being as good as gold. And I felt so bad. And she was like, I'll go downstairs, keep your pram for you. So she went down and did it. After that, I felt like I could breathe. We got a taxi to the hotel, and yeah.
Do you feel like that was the worst part?
It was 100% the worst part.
So that it could only get better?
That was my thinking, and it was true. And I always knew the travelling part would be hard, because it was hard. And
there was 2 of you.
And there were 2 of us. We both said, we were like, you need more than 2 people per, like, it doesn't work out as 1 adult per child. Like, you literally need like a massive room. Yeah, no, literally.
Never do 3.
No, don't do it. And it was the hardest part. And it was, yeah, it was really hard. I was your travelling. I mean, I know you had an airport dad.
Do you know what? As organised as he is, it gave me so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I don't know about anyone listening, but going away with my dad, he is, you know, that typical airport dad. He won't crack a smile. He doesn't want to converse with anyone. He walks ahead of everyone. He holds all the passports. If the kids like do anything that's like childlike, he'll like evil them. He was just miserable. He even sat in a different row. No, it's like he wasn't with us. But I haven't been away with my parents. Like, I don't remember the last time I went away with my parents. And it was really nice, but I think it just made me very aware of how much I used to rely on my ex for just real basic things. I'm not very like, what's the word I'm trying to look for? No, like just, I mean, even listening to your story and the fact that like you just got off the plane and went into an airport that you'd never been at before and you knew where to go, and felt like I probably go to like the wrong conveyor belt. Like, wait,
I'm very like,
what's the word I'm looking for? Like streetwise.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
You're not.
Like, not at all. Like, I'm the sort of person that would like get lost with ways, would like just, I'm a bit of an idiot. Not putting myself down or anything. I know we spoke about self-worth. Like, I'm like textbook smart. Like, give me like a book about psychology and I'll ace an exam, but like put me in like a random airport, I'll get lost and won't remember where to go and probably take the wrong suitcase. So yeah, but obviously being with an airport dad, there were pros to it, though he was a bit moody. But generally,
the flight was okay with the kids?
So Blake and Ivy are just like the perfect age for a flight. Like, if they've got an iPad and they've got a snack, like, I genuinely didn't know that they were there.
It's amazing.
Like, so in that respect, being actually on a flight, I feel like it would sort of be quite manageable because I only was with Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't sit still. He went through every activity that I planned for him within like 5 before we'd even take it off.
Always.
But he was a good boy. Like, he didn't cry. He didn't whinge. He's just very active.
It's just their age.
It's just go, 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 go. So the flight both ways could not complain. They were all really, really well behaved. And I feel like generally the holiday they were well behaved. They had their moments, which like kids do.
Yeah, and so do we.
Yeah, I had my moments. But yeah, I think people asked me, because we did a villa and I've never done a villa before with the kids. So it is very much like home from home. You know, you've got to do the cooking, cleaning, tidy up. And they are probably the disadvantages of the villa. I remember when I had separated from my ex and we were talking about, like, my parents were saying, like, let's do a holiday next year all together. And I was like, amazing, because I didn't see there being any other option. It would either be go away with my parents or I wouldn't go away with my kids. And they were like, let's book a nice all-inclusive hotel. And at the time, I remember just thinking, like, a hotel just is not going to be for me at the moment. I felt like once the kids then go to sleep, I'm on my own. Getting them ready for the day, I'm on my own. And because we've always done a hotel, I felt like it was really, I was going to just constantly compare. I thought just doing something completely different. In a villa, there's a lot more flexibility in respect that once they're in bed, like, I had company with other people. There were some nights where, like, I think one night me and my sister went out, my parents babysat. And so there was just, I felt like it worked better for me. And I am that sort of person that will kind of like sit and look at like families and other people around and be a bit like, that's really depressing. I can imagine that.
It was a very family.
Well, you went family resort.
To a family resort, yeah. I mean, that was it.
Were there any like fit, sexy single dads? None. That's such a shame.
There was a single dad that I spoke to, but
oh, shame. No, I had no holiday for them.
No holiday thing. No, not at all. Only my boys. No, so I think like that was the thing I found the hardest was just literally like just seeing families all around you. And some days I felt quite strong and being like, I'm doing this on my own. Like, I'm still doing all this stuff, but we are still a family. We are a family. But I don't know, it was things like watching dads play in the pool with their kids and like, just stuff like dads do. Like, I did all that stuff with them, but And there was a couple of times I saw like Theo like looking at it, and I don't know if he was thinking, oh, like I wish my daddy was here or something, but it did make me feel a bit, I don't know, it's that
sad.
Yeah, it's that sadness that what you had. And also like the evenings. So in the evenings we'd tend to do like, they had like a kids disco. It's like Theo was like, Mummy, we can't be late. We have to do the disco every night. He loved it. And like we'd do dinner and then we'd go to the bar up the top and like there'd be like live music and stuff. And it was really nice. And like, I am very lucky that I met quite a few of my followers there.
But you know what? When you told me
that
must have made such
it did. Like they'd come up to me, they'd see me there, they'd sit and like have a chat. Like I made a really good friend from holiday, actually, who's like a friend of my sister's friend, who actually, her family ended up helping me on the flight back. They were on my flight back, and I'll tell you about that. But yeah, like it made a difference because that's when I felt it. Like that's when I felt like lonely, and I don't know, I was sitting there like looking at my kids having the most amazing time. Like they had the most amazing holiday, they did, and like looking at their faces and just their pure joy. I was just like, I'm so glad I did this. But at the same time, like for me, holidays have always been, it's what I live for. I love holidays, and I just felt like, I don't know, one day I just really want someone to come here and like love my kids the way I love my kids, and like it just all be together. And I did feel like I'm quite lucky in the sense I didn't put the kids to bed till about 10:30, 11 at night. So when I went to get back to the room, I put the kids to bed, and the setup was fine. Like kids slept amazing, like literally.
Yeah, my kids
slept in his own bed. Milo slept
because they're doing so much. Yeah, so another one.
And they were sleeping the whole at home. Yeah, they were sleeping.
And then
every day. Yeah, please do. We need the hot weather as well. So yeah, I'd go out on the balcony once they were asleep, and some nights I did some work. Some nights like I'd call friends or whatever it was. But that was the part I definitely missed. I missed that adult company, and I definitely felt it by the end of the holiday. Like I just really craved like a proper adult conversation. And it's like what you're saying, like getting the kids ready every day, like doing all the sun cream and all of this. And like
I feel like a lot of the time I still did that stuff, which quite rightly, like they're my kids.
Yeah.
But you just, I feel like I felt that absence. Not that I wanted that person.
No, but
that figure. Do you know what I mean?
You've had holidays with him, so it's that familiarity. That's how you know holidays to be. So you do notice it. Like I 100% noticed it. And although it was very apparent to me, it didn't take away from like my enjoyment of the holiday. Don't get me wrong, like I came back and I really feel like I need a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted, but I know my kids appreciated that holiday. Even with them being so young, they did not stop smiling the whole day. Obviously, they had tantrums and stuff. Like the kids, they have tantrums at home. But I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean. Like I didn't have to tidy up. I didn't have to worry about going here, going there. Like
like I said, for you, it was like being at home, but you're in a different setting, in nice weather.
Yeah, and I wasn't having to. I didn't work around the kids. Like they very much had me, and I felt like I could focus all my time on them. Like it was so nice. Like literally, just felt like it was us. Like we got really, really, really close. Like we are close anyway, but like I felt, I don't know. It just.
I wonder if anyone's listening to this will like be like, do you know what, I'm going to do it.
I've had a few people message in my stories, and they were like, you've made me book our first holiday, and like that's it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and be like, it was fine, like it was brilliant, do it, like it's amazing. The traveling is hard, and it's hard being away with kids, and it's hard having all of that. But the reality is, I'm very used to being on my own at home with the kids and going out and doing stuff. And there was a point in the trip where I nearly booked us an excursion. I was like, why are you putting this pressure on yourself? Don't do it. And then I was like, but that's it. It's like, I think just taking pressure off, like things that I might have done if I was there with a partner, like I would have gone out and I would have wanted to go to, like they had a really good water park or the zoo or whatever. And I was like, I don't need to. So I just didn't.
Oh no.
We went out for a walk one day, just like by the beach and stuff, and went out for dinner, and that was nice. That was as far as it was. But other than that, we didn't need the resort, and we didn't need to. And the holiday in the hotel was absolutely perfect for what I wanted it to be, bar it being 4.5 hours away, but that was my own fault. But the hotel, like, honestly, was just perfect for kids. Like, and I think that's really important when you are booking somewhere, if you're on your own. Like, I would recommend doing an all-inclusive purely for that reason. Like, as well,
Imagine having to like think of where to go for lunch, dinner.
And meals were one of the most stressful parts, because many times aren't they? They just are. They don't like sitting down. But things like the ice cream was like unlimited. So like anytime something stressful happened, I was like, let's get an ice cream. And just stuff like that. It's like little things that just made things really easy. So I really recommend looking for somewhere that's really family orientated, really based around the kids. If you are willing to do the 4.5 hours, I do really recommend the resort I went to. It's the Hehir Principe Fantasia. I got a really, really good deal on it. So it was like 100% worth it, but I do know some people are getting like crazy prices on it. So
really,
it's hard. It's like, it's hard to differentiate between, like, for me, like the food wasn't the best thing, but like kids are really fussy. They eat pasta, they eat pizza, they eat chips. Like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And that's all it needed to be.
I think for me, next time, I probably would do a hotel. I'm not saying that I didn't like the villa. It was perfect for then. But I saw the downfall to, like, I feel like Blake and Ivy are of such a lovely age to make like holiday.
Yeah.
That I feel like they missed that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember they made friends at the airport on the way back. Like, even Rome did. And I feel like they missed other children. I was like, I can't wait to get back to school. She was upset that we arrived home on a Saturday. She wanted to go. So I feel like definitely next time I will do a hotel.
Yeah.
And also maybe just kind of like seeing that, like, you had like started speaking to like adults and, you know, making like a few friends in a hotel. I'm quite a sociable person. I feel like I can kind of
I thought like I'd look around and see like more single parents or like small single mums, and I really didn't see that many. It was only literally the last 2 days a single dad was next to me. It was not like that, to confirm. But our boys were the same age.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I mean, he said to me, "You're absolutely nuts for coming away with 2. I'm struggling with 1." But I don't know. I just thought that I'd see more around, and it was nice. Like, I did get some comments from people like, "I think you're amazing. Like, you're doing this on your own. Like, I've watched you every day in the pool with those kids and stuff." And like, it is really nice. And like I said, I'm very lucky that I bumped into people who follow me, and it just like a couple of cute things like, we were at the pool party and someone came up to me and was like, "Let me take a picture of you guys all together." It's just like having family photos and stuff. And what else do they do? Like, someone offered to put my towels out in the morning, and it's just like little things. And like, that's one thing I say, like, if you're listening to this and you are in a marriage or a relationship, but you notice like single parents on holiday, honestly, they will not be offended at like offering help for it. Even just like things like getting a drink, or like, we were having lunch one day, food's on the table, sat there, and Theo needed the toilet, and you have to leave everything. And I was like, but they're going to clean everything up, and I've just waited ages for this food.
You don't think of those things.
And this woman was watching me, and she was like, "Let me sit at your table while you go to the toilet." And I was just like, that's so lovely. It's such a little thing. But I think when you're on your own, it goes such a long way. Like, it really made a difference to me. So it was little thought stuff. Like I said, I made a friend out there. She had 2 boys, same age as my boys, similar age, and ended up finding out they were on my flight home. So like, they were just incredible. They came on the plane with me. They carried things onto the plane for me. Like, they made sure I was okay. It was just really, really lovely. And I don't know, it helped restore my faith in humanity, really.
Yeah. Do you know what? I feel like after listening to all this, I feel like eventually we need to like organise some sort of like retreat.
We will. And
like,
this is what I put on my story. Like, I think a lot of us as single parents are too scared to do things like this, because it is scary. And, you know, it's the thought of being lonely. It's the thought of being like, you're not having backup, like, if something goes wrong. And maybe if there was some kind of community where, you know, holidays organised, you'll go and stay at the same resort or whatever it is, or it's a villa. I don't know, but I do think there's something there.
I mean, I was actually talking about without the kids.
Oh, this is so awkward.
No, that sounds lovely.
I was signing me up for that.
That sounds beautiful.
I have to say, I'm actually going away on Thursday this week
on a girls' trip.
A girls' trip.
So Joe.
So excited. So
I've also booked a holiday without kids in September. So, it's always nice to look forward
where are you going?
Sorry. No. Mallorca. Sorry. Why did my mind go blank? I was like, Portugal. No, that's where I've already been. Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting. And that's it. I think when you are a single parent, you've kind of got to look at the positive sides, is that you do have time on your own. And
that used to be an issue for you.
And this is quite an interesting one, actually. It kind of stems to it, doesn't it? Because a couple of months back, this was the part I really struggled with was time away from my kids, because I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
Now I've had a lot more time of it.
You love it.
I do love it. And I'm not saying I love being away from my kids, because I really miss them, but I love having that time to do things that I forgot I was doing.
You know what? It's not only that. I feel like you shouldn't feel guilty for having that time to yourself, to almost like regain that energy to then be even better.
Also, with that, I also think if you're not doing things for yourself and things you enjoy and making you feel good, like I feel like I come back and I'm a better parent when I have that time away, because otherwise everything gets on top of you. You have a million things of life happening. Your brain is like a never-ending tick list. And like, I mean, you've seen the state of my phone. Like, literally.
Don't bring it up again. We might not be friends.
I actually tried to sort it out the other day.
Did you?
Slightly better.
Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like that's it. I feel like we seem to think when we're parents that everything is always about the kids. And I'm not saying it's not. But I think a way of making sure it is about the kids is by filling up your cup and making yourself feel good. Because I know when I feel good and I'm doing things that make me feel good, or I've had that time away to breathe and recoup or to have fun or let my hair down or whatever it is, I feel like I give so much.
Then better for them. Absolutely. And, you know, I have spoken to quite a lot of mums that are in that, you know, that beginning stage where they're like, I just hate that I won't be with my kids. Like, what do you... And that was you. And it's like, what do I do? So anyone listening to this that still feels in that moment, I promise you, it does get easier. And you do start enjoying and finding yourself again.
You think as well, it's important to flip it on its head and see it as a positive, because otherwise it's very easy to just be stuck in, and feel sorry. And I think, like, when you're just feeling miserable, you like manifest more like negative feelings. And I think when you flip it around, right, how am I going to spend that time? What can I do?
Yeah.
It's like doing things that you haven't done in a while. Like the other day I went to see a West End show. I genuinely don't think I've been since before having kids.
Really?
And it's just like, it's little things like that. Like you have that time, utilize it. Like I come back and I'm like, oh my God, I miss you so much. But then I also feel like I have more patience. I feel like I could be a more gentle parent, like rather than being like, by the end, like there was the other week, I had 2 solid weeks in a row of parenting on my own. And I honestly felt so triggered by everything, every sound, every touch.
Yeah.
I was so touched out, like just the noise of like, I don't know, a toy being hit and stuff. And I literally felt like anything was going to push me over the edge. And I felt like my head was going to fall. I felt like my brain was about to fall out of my head. Like, no joke. Like, I've never felt overstimulation quite like it in my life. And then I was just like, I just need a break. Like, I just needed a break. And it's not, you're not a bad parent for feeling like that.
You're human.
You are human. Yes. And like, we talk about trying to help our children to regulate their emotions, but we need to do that to ourselves as well. And some of that is having that time out.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you now enjoy it.
It's a new chapter for me.
Exactly. It's so nice.
It is.
So something I actually wanted to touch on, because it was was it a first for me? Can't even remember. It was a first. Yes, because we were still together last year. So Father's Day, obviously.
Yeah.
Were you away during Father's Day or just me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was away during Father's Day. I know that we both had spoken about it and agreed that we found it quite triggering online.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, it's like anything, like when you see, like people celebrating their wedding anniversary, but when obviously it's like a holiday that like everyone is putting all over social media, I very much stayed off Instagram that day because I just felt like it was just post all about like to my amazing husband and the father of my children. And don't get me wrong, like amazing, like happy for those people, but I didn't want to see it. And then I remember putting a story up explaining that I sort of like took the day off and how I found it quite triggering. And there's always one person there that like loves to just be a
Can't say it right, yeah.
And they absolutely annihilated me. Like they'd made a fake account, so like so brave. And they were just like, you're such a bad person for taking your kids away on Father's Day. He made a lucky escape, all of this stuff. Like you're like just, and I was just thinking to myself, like, who are you? How do you know that he wanted them on Father's Day? And I'm not here saying that he didn't. I'm just saying, like,
You don't know
how do you formulate an opinion? Like, I'm entitled to feel the way that I feel, regardless of whether they were with their dad on Father's Day or not. He was fine with it. Like, we FaceTimed. He had his card before we went away. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, I found it. Usually negative comments don't really bother me. And even though I'm very much confident with the way I parent, like what I do for my children, I put them first, it really pissed me off that comment got under my skin and made me think like, oh my God, was it really bad that I took them away when I did and all of this? Like part of the holiday was to go away for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, which fell
in the middle.
In the middle of Father's Day. So, you know, had their dad turned around and been like, please don't take them, I wouldn't have. But I don't think he cared. If he cared, he would have said something. So if that annoying, stupid person is listening, you can shove that up your ass. But yeah, Father's Day was obviously a first for you as well.
I found it really hard. Again, I didn't really go on social media either that day. So the boys were with their dad, and got him a card. I even took Theo to buy him a present. I just felt like it was the right thing to do because I did get asked, like, what did I do for that? Obviously, yeah, I just felt like it wasn't about me.
Were you together on Mother's Day? Or had you separated?
No, we'd separated.
Did you get a card?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You know?
No. But I still gave Father's Day card. That's on 2 occasions.
Always be the lady.
I didn't get a birthday card or a Mother's Day card. He got a birthday card and a Father's Day card. Both happened after I didn't get. But I want to show my children the right.
Always be the lady. That's what my grandma always says. Always be the lady. That's it. It's about doing the right thing for the kids. So we did that.
Good.
And we'd organise with the rest of my family. So like my mum, my dad, my sisters and their husbands, and then my sister's kids. We all went out for like a Father's Day lunch.
That's nice.
Which was really nice. And don't get me wrong, going out for lunch without my kids there meant I actually ate. But and I did it whilst it was hot. And it was about stressful, but at the same time, I really felt the absence. And it's really weird doing stuff like that without them there. Whenever we've done stuff, they've always been there because I've never had to live this weird thing. So for me, it then was like another stab in the heart. Like, they're not here because of this. And I don't know, I really, really struggled. I found it really hard.
It's like that every first, isn't it? Like you've had the boys, well, Theo's birthday.
Yeah.
Like I found birthdays. I've now had all my kids' birthdays since being separated.
It is hard. It's because it's different. And also I think as well, like there are still loads of big feelings and emotions. Like going through a divorce is not easy.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly difficult to navigate, and trying to, I don't know, be the best human you can be in certain situations whilst also trying to accept and navigate your own emotions around certain things that are completely okay for feeling. Like when you've been with someone for so long and you've done things in a certain way, and then all of a sudden you like experience everything in a completely new way. And so many people have said to me, it's always the first that are going to be hard. And once those are done, like you can breathe. Like I've got my wedding anniversary coming. I know you've had your wedding anniversary coming up. I've got mine coming up next month.
And you know what? I remember I put something on my story on Instagram when it was my wedding anniversary. And I almost felt a bit like, at first, disappointed in myself that I felt sad. Because I was like, no, like, I've moved on. I'm not upset about this. Why is this day really hard for me? And I had some people messaging me being like, 10 years on, it's still a funny day for me. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. But it's things like that that like really make me happy that I share certain things, because that makes me realise like it's not just me.
No,
it's not unusual.
So I think in all of this, like people can have an opinion, but however you feel is valid. Like don't ever make anyone feel like how you feel is wrong, because that is how you feel. And it really annoys me when people think you shouldn't feel this, you shouldn't feel this. Firstly, no one has ever walked a day in your shoes. No one ever knows what has fully gone on, or, you know, how you're feeling, how you're coping, what your day-to-day life really looks like. They see a snippet of our life, literally, and they want to pass every judgment they can. But I just think no one has a right to comment on how you should or shouldn't feel, or what you struggle with. Like, every struggle is valid. It's valid. And, you know, and some days bring different things. And as the years go on, things might get easier. I need to share the quote. I saw this amazing quote once about grief and how it comes in waves. And some days the wave's so big it like engulfs you, and some days it just comes and goes. It's really interesting quote. I'll try and maybe put it on our stories or something.
But it's true. Like you said, like the healing process isn't linear.
It's not linear.
And it's not even with, you know, you can be so far along in your journey. Like I feel like I'm so past caring about him.
But it's more than that when you've got a family, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is what we've spoken about so much. It's the
family unit. But that's why I think I was quite surprised with how I felt on our wedding anniversary, because that's got nothing to do with our family. That in theory has to do with like us. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and make out that, you know, oh, like, yeah, I got married, but like, who gives a shit because I'm over him? Like, at the end of the day, I got married thinking I was going to spend the rest of my life with this person. So I think it's very natural when that day of when you're meant to celebrate your marriage is going to make you feel a bit weird. And then, you know, by mistake, I went on Facebook as all the Facebook memories, and I'm like, oh, get away. But yeah, as you said, it's just certain anniversaries or certain dates throughout the year are going to be slightly harder. But I think knowing that you're not the only one going through it or the only one that feels that way is comforting.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to feel when I get there. Right now, I feel actually like fine with it.
But you know what? At least you also know that like you are fine. If there's like a day where you're feeling a bit down, there's a day.
I've made plans, like I'm busy that weekend, which is nice.
Yeah.
I've got something else like to look forward to.
Well, I struggled with my birthday. My birthday is around Christmas time, and like my friends were amazing, and we did like a whole like really fun night out where like we went to Magic Mike, and I got like a dance, like some nice sexy dance on this really fit guy, and then I just got drunk and just had fun. So I feel like, again, it's changing it,
and it's about It's about being like, right, well, like it's doing things in a new way. It's a new chapter, and like for me, of course, like the first one's going to feel weird, and you know, whatever it is. Like I've been coming up in my memories, like my hen do this and that, and I was like, I had a great time on my hen do, and you know, I don't want it to take away from all of that, but I can't help. I don't know. I keep going through like a bit of a weird thing at the moment where I almost like look back and I'm like, did I get married or this and that? I think that's also really normal. But again, I would never look back on my marriage and regret it because I've got my kid.
Yeah.
And I trust everything. I wouldn't be where I am now in a headstrong place without that.
I feel like
my story now.
Yeah, I'd never bother regretting. It doesn't get you anywhere, does it? Like, oh, should never did that or shouldn't have done that. Like, whatever, it's done.
You learn and grow. And the rest of what's to come, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think it is exciting. I feel like that's going to lead us on to next week's episode because I feel like it's going to be a fun one. But I hope you enjoyed kind of listening to our experiences. Some will want to do them and others won't.
And yeah, if you know anyone who's like a single parent and traveling's like a thing for them and they really want to do it, get them to listen to this episode.
Yeah, I think
make sure you're following us and make
sure you come back next week.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Bye.